drums against the windows of the old number 174 bus as it crawls through the morning grey of New York City like a tired animal. Natalie Collins sits by the window, huddled in a faded jacket she bought 5 years ago at a thrift store for $5. The jacket is too thin for the October chill, but it is all she has. She looks at her reflection in the fogged glass and barely recognizes the woman staring back at her. Sunken cheeks, dark circles under her eyes as deep as wounds, hair cut carelessly because she can't afford a hairdresser. She is 35, but she looks 50. In her pocket, she holds a newspaper folded into a small square. A classified ad is circled in red pen. The Sterling Center. Cleaning staff wanted. Experience preferred. Contact, reception, 42 King Street. She has read this ad 20 times since she found the paper yesterday evening in a trash can near the shelter where she sleeps. 20 times she repeated to herself that this is her chance. A job in a clinic. Not as a doctor. No, those days are gone. But at least in a place that smells of antiseptic instead of urine and mold. In a place where lives are saved. The bus stops with a screech. Natalie stands up, gripping the handrail with trembling hands. Hands that once operated on the most delicate tissues of the human heart now shake from malnutrition and cold. She steps out onto the street, and a gust of wind nearly knocks her over. She is small, thin as a child. It has been 15 hours. Since breakfast. If you can call half a roll found in a soup kitchen breakfast. But Natalie doesn't feel hunger. She stopped feeling hunger a year ago. Now, she only feels emptiness. She walks along the elegant avenue where every building looks like a monument to wealth. The Sterling Center. She knows the name. Every doctor in the country knows the name. It is the best private cardiology clinic in the nation, perhaps on the entire East Coast. The owner, Dr. Adam Sterling, is a legend. The man who patented a new heart transplant method, who operated on presidents and millionaires, a genius surgeon, and a ruthless businessman. Natalie read about him in medical journals when she still had access to them, when she was still someone. The Sterling Center rises before her like a cathedral of glass and steel. The walls gleam in the grey light, the automatic doors whisper open, and inside, the marble floor shines so brightly it reflects light like a mirror. Natalie stops at the entrance. Suddenly, a fear so strong grips her that she wants to run. She doesn't belong in this world. She doesn't deserve to enter, even as a cleaner. She is tainted, dirty, ruined. She is a murderer. That is what Gregory convinced her of. That is what the court, the medical board, and the whole country told her. But the rain intensifies, soaking through her thin jacket, and she has only 40 cents in her pocket. The shelter gave her an ultimatum: find a job by the end of the week, or leave. She has nowhere to go. She clenches her teeth and pushes through the doors. Warmth hits her like a wave. The air inside smells of freshness, expensive perfume, and something called normal life. The floor really does reflect the light. It is so clean, Natalie is afraid to step on it with her filthy sneakers. The reception is a massive desk of a white marble, behind which sits a young woman in a perfectly tailored suit. She has long fingernails painted pale pink, and a smile so artificial it could be cut from paper. Natalie approaches, trying not to shiver. She feels every eye in the lobby turn toward her. Patients on leather armchairs, nurses passing with files, the security guard at the door. She sees in their eyes what she always sees: contempt. She is poor, so she is worth less. "Good morning," she says quietly to the receptionist. Her voice sounds foreign, as if it belongs to someone else. "I came about the ad, for the cleaning job." The receptionist looks up. For a split second, disgust paints her face, but she quickly masks it with a professional smile. I see. Please wait a moment. She reaches for the phone, but instead of dialing, she stares at Natalie with the same expression people use when looking at the homeless in the subway. Do you have documents? A resume? Natalie pulls a crumpled piece of paper from her pocket. It isn't a real resume. It is a page torn from a notebook on which she wrote her name and the number of the payphone at the shelter. She cannot write. The truth. Natalie Collins, cardiac surgeon, license revoked for killing a patient. Instead she wrote, cleaning experience, 3 years. It isn't a lie. For 3 years, she worked for a company cleaning offices. She mopped floors, emptied bins, and scrubbed toilets for people who wouldn't even look her in the eye. The receptionist takes the paper with 2 fingers, as if touching something contagious. She glances at it and sighs. Fine. The manager will be here in 10 minutes. Please take a seat. Natalie turns and sees a row of leather armchairs. She cannot sit there, not in these dirty clothes. So she stands by the wall, holding the newspaper like a shield. The minutes drag like hours. She observes the clinic around her. Elegant people, smiling doctors in white coats, nurses carrying trays of equipment. She smells the scent she knows so well. Disinfectant, latex, something metallic and sterile. It is the smell of medicine, the smell of her old life. And then she hears the voice. It is deep, calm, but it fills the entire room like the sound of a bell. Natalie turns her head and sees him, a man in his 40s, in a white coat that looks tailored, tall, with graying temples, a straight back, and surgeon's hands, long, steady, precise. He is surrounded by a group of young residents who hang on his every word. He is talking about a surgery, about a new valve implantation technique, using terms so complex that only someone at the top of the profession could understand. Them. Natalie knows who he is before she even sees his ID badge. Dr. Adam Sterling, the mentor she had 10 years ago when she was a young intern at the medical university. The man who told her, "You have a gift. Don't waste it." The man to whom she wrote letters when she lost everything, begging for help, for a second chance. He never replied. He probably never even read them. Natalie turns away sharply, wanting to hide, to blend into the wall. She cannot let him see her, not in this state. Not as a beggar asking for a cleaning job. It would be too humiliating, too painful. But it is too late. Adam Sterling walks through the lobby, still talking to his assistants. His gaze falls on her, just as it falls on every person in the room. A professional scan of the crowd. But something stops him. His step slows. The assistants keep talking, but he is no longer listening. He looks at Natalie, intently, as if trying to solve a puzzle, and then he recognizes her. He freezes in mid-step. His face, the face of a man who has seen death on the operating table and never flinched, now expresses shock so pure that Natalie feels her own heart stop beating. For a long, impossibly long moment, they look at each other across the chasm of 10 years and 2 completely different worlds. She, a ruin. He, a god of medicine. Adam waves his assistants away. He approaches her slowly, as if afraid that if he moves too fast, she will vanish. He stops a yard in front of her. Up close, he sees everything. The shadows under her eyes, the protruding collarbones, the trembling hands. His voice, when he speaks, is very quiet, but it carries the power of a hurricane. Natalie? Just one word, just her name. But in that word, there is so much. Disbelief, pain, anger, sorrow. Natalie tries to answer, but her throat is tight. Tears fill her eyes, blurring her vision. She shakes her head, wanting to say, "No, it's not me," wanting to run, but her legs won't listen. Adam looks at her for another eternity. Then he turns to the receptionist, who is watching the scene with wide eyes. "Did this lady come for a job?" he asks, his voice sounding like cold steel. The receptionist nods nervously. "Yes, Dr. Sterling." She is applying for the cleaning position. The silence that falls is so thick you could cut it with a scalpel. Adam doesn't take his eyes off the receptionist. His jaw tightens. "Cleaning?" He repeats slowly, as if the word were poisoned. Then he looks at Natalie again. Is it true? Natalie. Collins, the best cardiac surgeon of her generation, came here to clean. Natalie closes her eyes. Shame burns her alive. She wants to sink into the ground, disappear, cease to exist. But Adam won't let her run. He steps closer, so close she can smell his cologne. Expensive, subtle, everything she is not. "Natalie," he says softly but firmly, "look at me." She can't. She is unable to. But his hand, the hand that has saved hundreds of lives, gently lifts her chin. He forces her to look into his eyes. Adam Sterling's eyes are dark, piercing, but now she sees something in them she hasn't seen in anyone for 7 years. Concern. "What happened?" he asks. "Where have you been all these years? Why?" And then Natalie breaks. Everything she has held inside for 7 years. Pain, fear, shame, loneliness, bursts like a dam. She sobs. Not quietly, not discreetly. She sobs as if her body is trying to expel all the poison at once. People in the lobby stare. They whisper, but Adam ignores them. He does something no one would expect. He embraces her. He doesn't ask for permission. He doesn't hesitate. He simply pulls her close. And his coat is so white and clean, and she is so dirty and broken. But he doesn't care. He holds her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. And his voice whispers into her hair, "It's okay. You are safe now. You will tell me everything. We will fix everything." Natalie doesn't know how long they stand there. Maybe a minute, maybe an hour. Time ceases to exist. Finally, she pulls away, wiping her face with her hand, leaving dirty smudges. Adam looks at her, and in his eyes, she sees the determination she saw only once before, when he swore before surgery that he wouldn't let a patient die. "Come with me," he says. He doesn't ask, he commands. Gently, but relentlessly, he takes her hand and leads her through the lobby. The assistants watch in stunned silence. The receptionist opens her mouth, but makes no sound. Adam leads Natalie to the elevator, presses the button for the top floor. The doors close, cutting them off from the world. In the elevator, Natalie begins to speak. The words pour out chaotically, without order or reason. She tells him about Gregory, about the jealousy, about the patient who died, about the false accusations, the trial, the medical board, about losing her license, about the psychiatric ward, about 7 years in hell, about work no one wants to do, about the shelter, the hunger, the cold. She speaks, and tears flow, but she cannot stop. It is like a confession before death. Adam listens in silence. His jaw clenches tighter and tighter. When the elevator stops at the top floor, his private penthouse, he leads her to his study. The room looks like something from a movie. Huge windows overlooking all of New York. A dark wood desk, shelves full of medical books, leather armchairs, diplomas, certificates and photos from surgeries hang on the wall. This is where a man who has achieved everything lives. Adam seats Natalie in an armchair. He hands her a glass of water. She drinks greedily. She hasn't had anything to drink since morning. Then he sits opposite her and waits for her breathing to calm. "Natalie," he says slowly, "is what you told me true? They accused you of medical malpractice, of a patient's death?" She nods. She cannot look at him. "And were you guilty?" That question hurts more than anything else. For 7 years, everyone asked the same thing. Were you guilty? And Natalie has never been able to answer with 100% certainty. Because what if she missed something? What if she really failed? What if... But Adam doesn't wait for her answer. He leans forward and takes her hands in his. His touch is warm, strong. "Natalie, look at me." He waits until she raises her eyes. "I knew you. I taught you. I saw you operate. You were the best intern I ever had. You had a gift that cannot be taught. I do not believe you made a mistake." His voice hardens. "But even if you had, 7 years of hell is too much. No one deserves what was done to you." Natalie doesn't know what to say. For so long, no one has believed in her innocence. No one has stood by her side. "I don't know how to prove it," she whispers. "Gregory has everyone in his pocket. The board, the witnesses, the documents. He destroyed everything that could help me." Adam smiles. It is a cold, predatory smile, reminiscent of a wolf that has scented blood. "Not me. He doesn't have me in his pocket." He stands, walks to the window, looks at the city. "Natalie, I am not just a doctor. I have resources, contacts, influence." He turns. "And I will give you everything you need to clear your name." She looks at him in disbelief. It sounds like a fairy tale, like an impossible dream. "Why?" she asks. "Why would you help me? You haven't seen me in 10 years. I could be a fraud. I could... Because I know who you are." Adam interrupts her. His voice is so certain there is no room for doubt. "And because..." He stops. For a moment, something that looks like pain appears on his face. "Because I cannot watch such talent go to waste. Not again." Natalie wants to ask what that means, but Adam has already switched back to professional mode. He pulls out his phone and dials. "Hannah, prepare the guest suite on the 7th floor. Yes, immediately. And order a full meal from the restaurant. Something light, soup, bread, fruit." He listens for a moment. "No, it's not a patient. It's a friend. A very important friend." He hangs up and looks at Natalie. "You will live here, in an apartment in this building. I have several suites for medical staff who work night shifts. One is free." He raises a hand when he sees she wants to protest. "This is non-negotiable. You are not going back to any shelter. You will not sleep on the street. Not while I am alive." Natalie feels tears welling up again. But this time, not from despair. From something else. From a feeling she couldn't name. Gratitude. Hope. "I don't deserve..." she begins. "You deserve everything," Adam interrupts. "You deserve dignity, safety, a chance to prove you are innocent." He walks over to her, kneels to be at her level. "Natalie, you will not be cleaning here. You will be here as my personal medical consultant. You don't need a license to review records, to advise on complicated cases. Officially, it will be an administrative position. But in reality," he smiles slightly, "you will return to medicine. You will be yourself again." She looks at him like a phantom. It is impossible. It is too good to be true. "What if someone finds out?" she whispers. "That I am here, that you are helping me. The media, Gregory." Adam's face hardens. "Let them find out. Let them try to do something." His voice is now steel. "We'll see who has more influence." Natalie wants to answer, but the door opens. A young woman in a suit enters, the assistant, Hannah, with an electronic key card in her hand. "The suite is ready, Dr. Sterling. Food will be there in 15 minutes. Adam nods. "Thank you, Hannah. Please escort Ms. Collins." He looks at Natalie. "Go. Take a shower. Eat. Rest. Tomorrow we will talk about the details. But today, just be safe." Natalie stands uncertain, shaky. Hannah smiles at her warmly, completely differently from the receptionist, and offers her hand. Natalie takes it and allows herself to be led. At the door, she turns one last time. "Dr. Sterling, thank you." He looks at her, and in his eyes, there is something she cannot read. "Don't thank me yet, Natalie. We are just getting started. The apartment is small. One room with a bed, a bathroom, and a small kitchenette. But to Natalie, it looks like a palace. The floor is clean. The walls are white. The bed has fresh linens. Real linens, not dirty shelter blankets. Hannah shows her how the shower works, where the towels are, and leaves her alone. Natalie stands in the middle of the room for a long moment, not knowing what to do. She feels like an intruder. She is afraid to touch anything because everything is so clean and she is so dirty. Finally, she goes to the bathroom. The reflection in the mirror terrifies her. She looks like a ghost, pale, emaciated with huge eyes. Her hair is filthy, matted. Her clothes stink. Slowly she begins to undress. Her skin is covered in bruises she doesn't even remember getting, probably from sleeping on a hard bunk, from falls, from life. She steps into the shower and turns on the water. It is hot, real hot water, not the lukewarm trickle at the shelter that has to be shared with 10 other women. Natalie stands under the stream and lets the water flow over her. First, she washes her hair 3 times with shampoo that smells of lavender. Then her body, slowly, thoroughly, as if trying to wash away 7 years of dirt. The water at her feet is dirty, brown. She looks at it and feels something resembling shame, but also relief. When she finally steps out of the shower, someone knocks on the door. It is a waiter with a cart full of food. Tomato bisque, fresh bread, butter, a piece of grilled fish, salad, fruit, orange juice. Natalie looks at it all like a miracle. She doesn't remember the last time she saw so much food at once. She sits at the small table wrapped only in a towel. She has no clean clothes and begins to eat. Slowly. Her stomach cramps after the first few bites, unaccustomed to nourishment. But the soup is hot and good, and the bread is soft. She eats and cries at the same time. Cries from relief, from happiness, from disbelief. When she finishes, darkness falls. Natalie lies down on the bed, a bed that isn't a bunk, that smells of freshness. And for the first time in 7 years, she falls asleep without fear, without the thought that someone will steal her shoes, without wondering if she will wake up tomorrow. She simply sleeps. And high above, in his office, Adam. Sterling sits at his computer working, but not on medical records. Before him lies the case file of Natalie Collins, which he pulled using his contacts in the court. He reads the testimonies, analyzes the evidence. His eyes wander over the names: Gregory West, Nurse Madeline Baker, Medical Board Member Dr. Nash. Adam feels anger boiling in his veins. He knows the pattern. He has seen such cases. Talented doctors destroyed by jealousy, bribery, false accusations. But he never expected it to happen to Natalie, the girl he trained, the woman he loved. He never told her that. She was married, and he had principles. But when she disappeared from the scene, he thought of her every day. He imagined she had moved to the West Coast, that she was building a career somewhere far away. He never would have thought she was here, in New York, living in squalor. He stands, walks to the window. He looks at the city, at the thousands of lights. Somewhere out there is Gregory West, living in luxury, running the clinic he stole from his wife, enjoying her suffering. Adam clenches his fists. He won't allow it. Not this time. He pulls out his phone and calls his lawyer. Thomas, I have a case, a big case. I need you in my office tomorrow morning. We are going to dismantle a criminal trial from 2018 piece by piece. He listens for a moment. Yes, I know it will be difficult. I don't care how much it costs. We will find the truth, and we will destroy everyone who hurt an innocent woman. He hangs up, returns to his desk. He opens a new document on his computer and starts writing a list of steps. Find witnesses, analyze medical records, check bank transfers. If there was corruption, there will be traces. Gregory West made a mistake. He thought he was untouchable, but he didn't account for Adam Sterling. Adam works late into the night. When he finally goes to sleep in his apartment 2 floors up, his last thought is of Natalie. Is she sleeping? Is she warm? Does she finally feel safe? He promises himself he will do everything to ensure she never suffers again. Natalie wakes suddenly in the middle of the night. For a moment, she doesn't know where she is. The room is dark, but not as dark as the shelter. There are curtains blocking the streetlights. It is quiet, no snoring of other women, no crying, no screaming. She remembers. The Sterling Center. Adam. I am safe. She gets up, walks to the window, pulls back the curtain. Beyond the glass, New York stretches. Out, millions of lights, like stars. Once she was part of this world. She had an apartment in Manhattan, a car, respect. Now she is... what? A ghost? Begging for mercy. But something has changed. Today, someone defended her. Someone believed. Adam. Natalie feels something strange in her chest. It isn't hope. She doesn't dare to hope yet. But it is the shadow of something that could be hope. The first shadow in 7 years. She goes back to bed, covers herself with the warm duvet, closes her eyes. But before she falls asleep, she thinks of something else. Of Gregory. Does he know where she is yet? Did someone tell him? And what will he do when he finds out? She shivers, despite the warmth in the room, because she knows Gregory. She knows what he is capable of. He destroyed her once. He might destroy her again. In his villa in the Hamptons, Gregory West finishes dinner with a client, a wealthy entrepreneur who needs a bypass next month. The client leaves satisfied, leaving a check for $50,000 as a deposit. Gregory is pleased. Business is booming. Natalie's old clinic is running perfectly. He took it over for pennies after the divorce, using fake debts and bribed lawyers. Now it brings him a fortune. He sits in the living room, sipping expensive whiskey, browsing investment offers. He thinks of Natalie rarely. She is a fragment of the past that no longer exists. Sometimes he saw her on the street, from a distance. She always looked homeless. He was pleased. With that, she got what she deserved, for refusing him respect, for thinking she was better. But tonight, his phone rings. It's someone from the clinic staff, an acquaintance, a male nurse who also moonlights at the Sterling Center. Dr. West, do you have a moment? Yes, what is it? It might be nothing, but today I saw something strange. Dr. Sterling brought a woman into the clinic. She looked, well, like a homeless person. Rumor has it she's living in the staff apartment now. I asked he, around? And one of the guards says she's an old friend of Sterling's. Gregory frowns. That's nothing unusual. Sterling is a philanthropist, sometimes helping people in need. But something about the description. What did she look like? He asks. Average height, very thin, brown hair. One of the receptionists says she came about the cleaning job, but Sterling personally took her away. It caused a bit of a stir. Gregory's heart starts beating faster. No, it can't be. What is her name? He asks sharply. I don't know, but I can check tomorrow when I'm at work. Do that, and call me immediately. He hangs up. He sits in the darkness, gripping the whiskey glass. It can't be Natalie. She has no contacts in the medical world. No one would help her. But what if Sterling recognized her? What if he starts asking questions? Gregory clenches his jaw. If it really is Natalie, he must act fast. He cannot let her destroy what he built. Not again. He pulls out his phone and calls his lawyer. Time to activate the contingency plan. The next morning, Natalie wakes with sunlight streaming through the window. For a moment she thinks it was a dream, but no. She is here, in a clean room. Safe. Someone knocks on the door. She opens it and sees Hannah, Adam's assistant. Good morning, Ms. Collins. Dr. Sterling asks that you come down to his office at 10. I also brought you some clothes. I'm a similar size, so I thought they might be useful until you buy your own. Natalie looks at the pile of clothes. Clean jeans, blouses, underwear, shoes. Something in her throat tightens. Thank you, she whispers. Hannah smiles. You're welcome. Dr. Sterling values you very much. It shows. When Hannah leaves, Natalie changes. The clothes fit almost perfectly. She looks at herself in the mirror and doesn't recognize the woman in the reflection. Clean, dressed normally, almost human. At 10, she goes down to Adam's office. His secretary lets her in immediately. Adam is sitting behind his desk, a mountain of documents before him. When she enters, he stands up. Natalie, how do you feel? Better. She answers quietly. Much better. He nods, satisfied. Good, because we have work to do. He points to a chair. Sit down. We have to analyze everything from the beginning. For the next 3 hours, Natalie tells him the whole story. Every detail. The surgery, the patient's death, the nurse's testimony, the board, the trial. Adam takes notes on everything, asking about details that seem insignificant. But to him, everything is significant. When she finishes, Adam leans back in his chair. Okay, I have the outline of a plan. First, we must find Nurse Madeline Baker. If she was forced to lie, she might be ready to tell the truth. Second, we analyze the medical records. If there was sabotage, there will be traces. Third, we check Gregory's finances. If he bribed board members, there will be transfers. He looks at her. This won't be quick, and it won't be easy. But I promise you, we will uncover the truth. Natalie feels tears running down her cheeks, but this time, not from despair. Why are you doing this? She asks. Really? Why? Adam is silent for a moment. Then he speaks quietly. Because 10 years ago, I was your mentor, and when you disappeared, I felt I had failed. I should have looked for you. I should have made sure you were okay, but I didn't. His voice is full of regret. Now I have a chance to fix it. She looks at him, and something grows in her heart that she hasn't felt in years. Trust. Maybe even something more. But before she can answer, his secretary bursts into the office, pale as a sheet. Dr. Sterling, I apologize, but Dr. Gregory West is at reception. He claims he must speak with you urgently. Natalie freezes. Blood drains from her face. Gregory. Here. He knows. Adam looks at her, then at the secretary. His face hardens. Tell him, I am not interested. Tell him to leave. But before the secretary can reply, the doors fly open with a bang. Gregory West stands in the doorway. He is tall, handsome, in an expensive suit, but his eyes are cold as ice. Adam Sterling, he says with a fake smile. How nice to see you again. Then his gaze falls on Natalie. The smile vanishes. Ah, Natalie, so it is true. You found yourself another sponsor? Always good at using men. Natalie cannot breathe. The room spins around her. Gregory is here. Her nightmare stands 10 feet away. Adam stands up slowly. His voice is dangerously quiet. Leave my office. Immediately. Gregory laughs. Relax, colleague. I just came to warn you. This woman is dangerous. She killed my patient. She tried to commit suicide. She is mentally ill. He looks at Natalie with contempt. And she is trying to use you, just like she always used men. Adam takes a step toward him. His eyes blaze. Get out, before I have you thrown out. Gregory raises his hands in a gesture of surrender. But the smile doesn't leave his face. As you wish. But I warn you, this woman will destroy your clinic too, just like she destroyed mine. He turns to leave, but stops once more. Natalie, if you think you can become a doctor again, forget it. I will make sure you never touch a scalpel again. And he leaves, slamming the door. The silence that falls is deafening. Natalie sits in the chair, trembling. She cannot stop shaking. Gregory was here. He saw her. He knows where she is. Adam kneels beside her, takes her hands. Natalie, look at me. He can't hurt you anymore. You are safe. But she shakes her head. Tears flow. You don't understand. He will never give up. He will do everything to destroy me. Again. And this time, he will destroy you too. Adam clenches his jaw. Let him try. For 3 days after Gregory's visit, Natalie lives in fear. Every sound in the corridor makes her jump. Every knock on the door turns her heart into a hammer. She can't eat. Her throat tightens. She can't sleep. In nightmares, she sees Gregory standing over her with a smile as her life falls apart again. Adam tries to calm her, assures her she is safe, that clinic security has his photo and won't let Gregory in. But Natalie knows her ex-husband better than anyone. She knows he doesn't attack frontally. He attacks from the shadows, with poison, not a sword. And she is right. On the morning of the 4th day, Hannah comes to her apartment, pale as paper. She holds a newspaper in her hand. She says, "Nothing," just hands it to Natalie. On the front page of the tabloid, The City Pulse, a headline screams in capital letters, "Killer doctor returns to medicine. Accused surgeon finds refuge with millionaire." Natalie feels her legs give way beneath her. She sits on the edge of the bed and reads. The article is brutal, full of half-truths and insinuations. It describes her as Dr. Natalie C., convicted of medical malpractice that led to a patient's death in 2018. It says that, despite losing her license and public condemnation, C. found a protector in Dr. Adam Sterling, owner of an elite cardiac surgery clinic. It suggests that Adam may have been manipulated by a woman of questionable past, and that hiring a person burdened with such serious charges casts a shadow on the reputation of the Sterling Center. There is a photo. Someone photographed her, leaving the clinic 3 days ago, to go to the store for basics she needed. In the photo, she looks exactly as Gregory wanted. Haggard, suspicious, like someone who shouldn't be near a hospital. The caption under the photo, Natalie C. leaving the Sterling Center. Are patients safe? Natalie feels nauseous. She drops the newspaper. She hears her own breathing, fast, shallow, panicked. Her head starts to spin. It is happening again. The media is tearing her apart again. Public opinion will pass judgment again. This time not only on her, but on Adam too. She will destroy him, just as Gregory promised. Hannah kneels beside. Oh, grabs her shoulders. Miss Collins, please breathe, deeply. It's just a newspaper. It's lies. But Natalie cannot breathe. The room spins. Darkness narrows around her like a tunnel. The last thing she hears is Hannah's voice calling for help. She wakes up in a private medical room on the ground floor of the clinic. She is lying on a gurney, hooked up to an IV. A young female doctor sits by her, checking her blood pressure. And beside her, Adam. His face is tense, worried. When he sees her, open her eyes, he takes her hand. Natalie, how do you feel? Did you see the paper? She whispers. Her voice is raspy. He nods. His jaw clenches. I saw it. I have to leave, she says. She tries to sit up, but dizziness won't let her. You have to throw me out before I destroy your clinic. Before. You are going nowhere. Adam interrupts her. His voice is firm but full of warmth. Natalie, that is what Gregory wants. He wants you to run, to be alone and defenseless again. I won't give him that satisfaction. But your reputation, the patients, my reputation will survive one article in a tabloid, he says. And the patients? Those who trust me will continue to trust me. And those who believe lies, well, maybe they weren't the right patients for my clinic. Natalie looks at him through tears. She doesn't understand why he is doing this, why he risks everything for her. Adam seems to read her thoughts. He leans closer. Natalie, you must trust me. I am not stupid. I do not let myself be manipulated. I know the truth about you, because I know you. He pauses. And I am going to fight. Truly. That same afternoon, Adam calls a press conference. Natalie watches it from her room on the laptop screen Hannah brought her. The clinic's conference room is full of journalists, local media, TV stations, even a few internet portals. Adam stands behind the podium in a perfectly white coat, calm, composed. He looks like a general before a battle. He begins. Without preamble, thank you for coming. I called this conference to address today's article in The City Pulse. He pauses, letting the cameras capture his face. This article contains a series of false statements and insinuations that harm both my clinic and the person concerned. I wish to clarify the facts. The journalists lean in, taking notes. Adam continues. First, Dr. Natalie Collins is not employed as a physician. She is a consultant for medical documentation, an administrative position that does not require a medical license. She has no contact with patients. She performs no procedures. Her presence in this clinic is fully in accordance with the law. One of the journalists raises a hand. But Dr. Sterling, is it true that Dr. Collins was accused of medical malpractice? Adam looks straight into the camera. She was accused, but she was not convicted of medical malpractice in a criminal court. The medical board revoked her right to practice, but there was no criminal trial proving her guilt. His voice hardens. And I believe those accusations were false. Therefore, I intend to personally finance an investigation that will uncover the truth. The room erupts in whispers. Cameras flash. Another journalist asks, "Are you saying Dr. Collins is innocent?" I am saying she deserves a fair hearing. She deserves to have her side of the story heard. Adam takes a step forward. And I say this as the doctor who trained her 10 years ago. I know her skills. I know her character. I do not believe she could kill a patient through negligence. A third journalist, more aggressive. But isn't this a conflict of interest? You are financing an investigation for a woman you employ? Adam smiles coolly. I am financing justice. If the investigation shows I am wrong, I will accept it. But if it shows that Natalie Collins was unjustly accused, I will demand full rehabilitation and the punishment of the guilty. He leans over the microphone. Because, in this country, doctors destroy each other out of jealousy, politics, and greed. And I cannot watch it happen. The conference lasts another half hour. Adam answers every question calmly, precisely, without emotion. When he finishes, he leaves, and the journalists remain in the room, loudly discussing. Natalie stares at the empty screen. She feels something strange in her chest. It isn't just gratitude. It is something bigger, deeper. Adam just put his reputation, his career, his empire on the line for her, a woman who just a week ago was begging for a cleaning job. Hannah knocks on the door. She enters with a gentle smile. Dr. Sterling asks you to come down to his office. When Natalie enters, Adam is sitting at a desk cluttered with documents. But this time he is not alone. Beside him stands a tall man in a suit, about 50, with grey hair and piercing eyes. Natalie, Adam says, this is Thomas Cole, my lawyer. He will lead the investigation. The lawyer extends a hand. Natalie shakes it uncertainly. Miss Collins, Thomas says, Dr. Sterling told me your story. I will be honest with you. This will be difficult. 7 years have passed. Witnesses have disappeared or don't want to talk. Documents may have been destroyed. But, he smiles, I've handled harder cases. And if Mr. Sterling is right, and I trust him, then we will find the truth. For the next 3 hours, Thomas asks her questions. Detailed, precise questions about every aspect of that surgery, the trial, life with Gregory. Natalie answers, even though it hurts, even though she has to return to the worst days of her life. Thomas writes everything down in a thick notebook. When he finishes, he puts down his pen. Okay, I have a plan. First, we find Nurse Madeline Baker. If she was forced to lie, she might be ready to talk. Second, we pull the complete medical records from that surgery. Not the version presented to the board, the originals from the hospital. Third, we investigate Gregory West's finances. If he bribed anyone, there will be traces. He looks at Adam. This will cost a lot. Adam shrugs. I didn't ask the price. Thomas nods, satisfied. That's good, because we will need private investigators, medical experts, lawyers specializing in malpractice. He looks at Natalie. Miss Collins, are you ready for what is coming? It will get worse before it gets better. The media will sharpen their attack. Gregory will do everything to destroy you. And if we find the truth, the trial will be public. Painful. Natalie feels fear, but she looks at Adam, sitting beside her, calm and sure. And for the first time in years, she feels something else. Strength. I'm ready, she says quietly. I want everyone to know what he did to me. Thomas smiles. Good, because we are just starting a war. The first weeks of the investigation are chaotic. Thomas hires a team, 3 lawyers, 2 detectives, a medical expert. Adam pays for everything without batting an eye. Natalie watches from the sidelines as the machine spins up. She feels helpless, as if watching her own life being played by other people. But Adam doesn't let her lock herself in her room. Every morning he comes for her and takes her to the clinic. He shows her operating rooms, not as a patient or a cleaner, but as a consultant. He lets her review medical records, analyze cases, participate in medical conferences. Natalie listens, observes. Her hands tremble every time she sees a scalpel, but something inside her is waking up slowly. The doctor who died 7 years ago tries to come back to life. One day, Adam invites her to the operating room. It is a complicated surgery, aortic valve replacement in a 70-year-old patient. Natalie stands in the observation gallery, watching through the glass. Adam's team works with the precision of a perfect machine. Nurses pass instruments. The anesthesiologist monitors parameters. And Adam operates like an artist. His hands move, surely gently, every movement thought out. Natalie remembers that feeling. The power of saving a life. The beauty of surgery. When the operation ends, the patient lives, stable. Adam exits the room and sees her through the glass. Their eyes meet. Something passes between them. Something unspoken. Meanwhile, the investigation progresses. The first breakthrough comes after 3 weeks. The detectives find Nurse Madeline Baker. She lives in a small, neglected apartment on the outskirts of the city. She is a heavy alcoholic. Lost her job at the hospital 3 years ago. She lives alone. Her son is in rehab. Thomas and Adam drive to her together. They take Natalie. They say it is important. Madeline must see her, remember? The apartment smells of alcohol and neglect. Madeline opens the door, gaunt, with yellow skin, hands trembling so much she can barely hold the handle. She looks at the guests and backs away, terrified. I don't want to talk. Please, leave me alone. But then, she sees Natalie. Her eyes widen. Her face twists in a grimace of pain. You, she whispers. Oh God, you. Natalie takes a step forward. She feels her throat tighten. This woman destroyed her life. She gave false testimony. But looking at her now, at this wreck of a human, she feels only sadness. Nurse Baker, she says quietly, please, I need to know the truth. Madeline breaks down. She falls to her knees, sobbing. Words pour out of her like a river. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was a coward. West, he threatened my son. He said he'd make sure he got locked up if I didn't sign the statement. I couldn't let him hurt my boy. Adam and Thomas exchange glances. This is it. A confession. Thomas pulls out a voice recorder. Nurse Baker, will you agree to repeat what you just said? Officially? Madeleine looks at him through tears, then at Natalie. She sees something in her eyes that surprises her. Not hatred. Compassion. Yes, she whispers. Yes, I will. Tell the truth. Everything. The recording lasts an hour. Madeleine confesses everything. How Gregory threatened her son. How he made her sign the false statement. How he paid her $5,000. She recounts what she really saw in the operating room. That Natalie did everything right. That it was Gregory who administered the lethal drug himself after Natalie had left. That it was murder, not a mistake. When she finishes, Thomas turns off the recorder and looks at Adam. He smiles. This is enough to reopen the case. Adam nods, but before they leave, he does something unexpected. He pulls out a checkbook and writes a check for $20,000. He hands it to Madeleine. This is for your son's rehab. And for you, if you want, you will need strength for what is coming. Madeleine looks at the check like a miracle. Tears stream down her face. Why? Why are you being good to me? I destroyed this woman's life. Adam looks at her seriously. Because we all make mistakes, but few have the courage to fix them. You have that courage. The second breakthrough comes a month later. The medical expert hired by Adam, Professor Stanley Nash, one of the best pathologists in the country, analyzes the medical records from the surgery. Adam's team bought the complete files from the hospital, including original nurses' notes and patient monitoring logs. Professor Nash comes to the clinic with a report. His face is serious. Dr. Sterling, Miss Collins, I have conclusions, and they are not pleasant. They sit in Adam's office. Natalie, Adam, Thomas, and the professor. Nash spreads documents on the desk. I analyze the timeline of events. Dr. Collins finished the surgery at 2:47 p.m. She left the room at 2:50 p.m. According to monitoring records, the patient's parameters were stable until 3:03 p.m. He pauses. At 3:05 p.m., the patient went into anaphylactic shock. He died at 3:20 p.m. Well, what does that mean? Natalie asks. The professor looks at her, sympathetically. It means you could not have administered the drug that killed the patient. You were no longer in the operating room. He points to a document. But there is something else. I found something in the original nursing notes that was not in the testimony. An annotation. 3:04 p.m. Dr. West administered penicillin G despite no order. This was erased from the official documentation, but there is a trace in the original. The silence that falls is deafening. Natalie feels her, heart beating so loud she hears it in her ears. Adam clenches his fists. Penicillin, he says quietly. The patient was allergic to penicillin. It was in his chart. The professor nods. Exactly. Gregory West deliberately gave the patient a drug to which he was fatally allergic. It wasn't a mistake. It was murder. Natalie cannot breathe. She knew. For 7 years, she knew in her heart she hadn't killed that man. But to hear it out loud, to have proof, Thomas is already writing. This is enough. With this and Nurse Baker's testimony, we can file a notification with the district attorney. Gregory West will be charged with murder. Adam stands, walks to the window. His back is tense. When he speaks, his voice trembles with anger. That monster killed an innocent man to destroy his wife. And he lived in luxury for 7 years while she suffered. Natalie walks over to him, touches his shoulder. When Adam turns, she sees tears in his eyes. For the first time since she met him, again, she sees emotions in him that are not controlled. Adam, she whispers. He takes her face in his hands. His thumbs wipe away the tears flowing down her cheeks. I'm sorry, he says. I'm sorry I wasn't there when they accused you. I'm sorry I'll let you suffer so long. She shakes her head. You didn't know. No one knew. I should have known. I should have looked for you. His voice breaks. Natalie, for 10 years I thought about you. I wondered where you were, what you were doing, if you were happy. And you were here, in hell. Natalie looks at him, and suddenly she understands. What she sees in his eyes is not just a mentor's concern. It is something deeper. You were in love with me, she whispers. 10 years ago. Adam doesn't deny it. His silence is the answer. Natalie feels something break in her chest. Not fear, not pain. Something warm, fragile, beautiful. Something she hasn't felt in years. Hope. She leans in and kisses him. Gently, tentatively. Adam freezes for a moment and then responds to the kiss. In it is all the suffering, all the longing of 10 years. When they separate, both are panting. Thomas coughs discreetly from the other end of the room. Professor Nash smiles. Shall we return to the case? Thomas says with amusement in his voice. Adam and Natalie separate, both blushing. But something has changed. Between them, there is no longer just respect and gratitude. There is love. But Gregory does not intend to go down without a fight. As soon as news of the investigation reaches the media, and it reaches them fast because Thomas deliberately leaks information, Gregory activates his propaganda machine. He issues a statement. I completely deny any allegations. This is a desperate attempt by my ex-wife to destroy my reputation and regain the assets that legally passed to me after the divorce. He hires the best lawyers in New York. He drags up old testimonies, old documents. He finds witnesses who say that Natalie Collins was always emotionally unstable and that she tried to blame her husband for her mistakes. He contacts journalists who write articles painting him in a good light. Surgeon accused by jealous ex. Is it revenge? For several weeks, the battle plays out in the media. Half the country believes Gregory, half believes Natalie. Adam and his team fight. They publish parts of Madeleine's testimony, with her consent, cite Professor Nash's expertise. But Gregory has money and contacts. The dispute becomes brutal. And then Gregory does something unexpected. He attacks personally. One evening, Natalie is sitting in her room trying to read a medical book Adam gave her. Her phone rings. It is a new number she got from Adam, known only to a few people. She picks up. Hello? Hello, Natalie. Her blood runs cold. That voice, deep, smooth, once loved, now like venom. Gregory. How did you get this number? He laughs. I have my ways. I wanted to congratulate you. You're doing great. Found yourself a new sponsor. A rich guy again, huh? You were always good at using men. Don't call me again, she says, trying to control the tremor in her voice. Listen to me carefully, Natalie. His voice hardens. You think you'll win? You think your little investigation will change anything? I have the best lawyers. I have friends in every court. And you are nobody. A lunatic trying to reclaim a life she doesn't deserve. Tears well up in her eyes, but she won't let him. Hear her cry. I didn't kill that patient, and everyone will find out. Gregory sighs as if bored. Maybe, and maybe not, but I want you to know one thing. If you continue, I won't just destroy you. I will also destroy Adam Sterling. His clinic will go bankrupt. His reputation will be ruined. And all because of you. He pauses. Do you really want another person to suffer because of you? He hangs up. Natalie sits in the dark, holding the phone. The trembling turns into sobbing. Gregory knows where to strike. He knows her greatest fear is hurting others, and he uses it. For a long time, she sits alone, thinking, calculating. Maybe she should leave. Maybe she should disappear before Adam actually gets hurt. But then she remembers. She remembers how Adam stood in her defense, how he risked everything, how he said, I didn't ask the price. She wipes her tears, straightens her back. No, she won't leave. Not this time. The next day, she goes to Adam and tells him about the call. She expects him to be angry, but he only listens and then says, "Good. Now we know he is terrified. People threaten when they lose control. But what if he's right?" Natalie asks. "What if he destroys your clinic?" Adam takes her hands. "Natalie, look at me. My clinic is not the most important thing in my life. You are." She freezes. She has no words. "I love you," Adam says quietly. "I loved you 10 years ago. I love you now. And I will fight for you, even if I have to lose everything." Natalie cries, but this time with joy. "I love you too," she whispers. They kiss. Long, deep. And then Adam says, "Let's finish this. Tomorrow, Thomas files the notification with the district attorney. Gregory will be arrested." But the next day, before Thomas can file the papers, something terrifying happens. Natalie wakes in the morning to pounding on the door. She opens it and sees Hannah, pale as a sheet, shaking. "Miss Collins, turn on the news, quickly." Natalie turns on the TV. On the screen, she sees a live report. Location, the West Clinic. Ambulances, police. A crowd of people stand before the building. A reporter speaks. Tragedy at a private clinic. According to preliminary reports, serious complications occurred during a routine surgery. The patient, whose identity we are not revealing, died on the operating table. The family accuses Dr. Gregory West of medical malpractice. The DA has opened an investigation. Natalie feels her legs buckle. Gregory just experienced what he did to her. Karma. But then the reporter says something else. Dr. West has issued a statement claiming he was sabotaged. We quote, "Someone deliberately manipulated my equipment. This was not an accident. This is the revenge of my enemies who want to destroy me." West refused to give names, but sources close to the case suggest he means his ex-wife, Natalie Collins. The screen freezes. Natalie stares into the void. No, no. Gregory is accusing her of sabotage, of murder. The phone rings. It's Adam. "Natalie, don't leave the room. I'm coming." But it is too late. The door bursts open. 2 men in civilian clothes, police detectives. Behind them, the clinic security guard, apologizing with his eyes. "Natalie Collins?" one of the men asks. "Yes. We are from the district attorney's office. We have a search warrant for your apartment and an arrest warrant. You are a suspect in a case of medical equipment sabotage, leading to the death of a patient at Dr. West's clinic." Natalie cannot breathe. This is impossible. This is a nightmare. Gregory turned everything against her. I was never in his clinic. It's a lie." The officer doesn't listen. He puts handcuffs on her. "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court." They lead her outside. In the hallway is Adam, running, trying to stop the police. But they push him away. "Mr. Sterling, please do not interfere, or you will be charged with obstruction of justice." Adam looks at Natalie. Their eyes meet. In his gaze, she sees despair, anger, determination. "Don't worry," he shouts to her. "I'll get you out. I promise." But his voice fades as the police lead her to the elevator. The last thing she sees is Adam standing in the hallway, helpless. For the first time since she met him, he looks broken. They lead her to the squad car, put her in the back seat. As the car drives away, Natalie looks out the window at the Sterling Center, the building. That was her sanctuary for 2 months, the place where she became human again. Now she is going to jail. Gregory won. The detention center in Manhattan smells of urine, sweat, and despair. Natalie sits in a small cell with 3 other women. 2 are there for theft, the 3rd for drug possession. They look at her with curiosity mixed with contempt. One of them, an older woman with scars on her face, asks, "What are you in for?" Natalie cannot answer. Her throat is tight. Finally, she whispers, "They say I killed a patient, that I sabotaged medical equipment." The women exchange glances. They move away from her. Even here, in prison, she is an outcast, a murderer. Natalie curls up in the corner of the bunk. It is night, but she cannot sleep. Cold seeps through the thin blanket. The sounds of prison, screams, crying, the clang of bars, fill the darkness. She is back in this place, in the hell Adam pulled her out of. Only this time it is worse, because for a short time she tasted hope. She felt warmth, safety, love, and now everything has been taken from her again. She closes her eyes and sees Adam's face, his last look as the police led her away, the despair in his eyes. She feels tears rolling down her cheeks. She cries quietly, so the other women don't hear. She cries from fear, from pain, from a sense of injustice so deep there are no words for it. Gregory won. Again. But Natalie doesn't know that at the same moment she cries in her cell, Adam Sterling is not sleeping. He sits in his office surrounded by his team. Thomas, detectives, experts, documents, recordings, photos lie on the desk. Adam no longer looks like a composed surgeon. He looks like a general planning the final battle. "It is impossible for Natalie to have sabotaged his clinic," he says to Thomas. "She was never there. She had no access. It is an obvious setup." Thomas nods. "I know, but Gregory has witnesses. A nurse who claims she saw Natalie near the clinic the day before the surgery. A technician who says someone tampered with the equipment. And of course, the media has already convicted her." Adam slams his fist on the desk. "I won't allow it. She was already in prison once, in the psych ward, where she tried to kill herself. If they lock her up there again..." He doesn't finish the sentence, but everyone knows what he wants to say. Natalie might not survive it. One of the detectives, a young man named Paul, raises his hand. "Mr. Sterling, I have an idea. If Gregory fabricated evidence, he must have used someone. The people testifying against Ms. Collins, we can interrogate them, check their finances. If they got money..." Adam looks at him sharply. "Do it. Immediately. I don't care how much it costs. Find anything." Thomas adds, "There is one more thing. The patient who died in Gregory's clinic. His family. They want to talk. They say something was wrong with that surgery. That Gregory is lying." Adam stands up. "We will drive to them tomorrow morning. Maybe they know something we don't." The meeting lasts all night. They plan, strategically, methodically. Adam doesn't drink, doesn't eat, doesn't rest. All his energy is focused on one thing: saving Natalie. In the morning, Natalie is taken for her first interrogation. The prosecutor is a young woman with a cold gaze and a sharp voice. She asks questions like punches. "Do you know Dr. Gregory West?" "Yes. He is my ex-husband." "Do you hold a grudge against Dr. West?" Natalie is silent. How was she supposed to answer? That she hates him for what he did to her? That he destroyed her life? "Were you near Dr. West's clinic on October 15th? "No. I was never there." The prosecutor puts a photo on the table. Blurry, taken from afar. It shows a woman with a silhouette similar to Natalie's, walking down the street near Gregory's clinic. "Is this not you?" Natalie looks at the photo. The woman wears a jacket similar to the one she had, but the face is indistinct. "That is not me," she says firmly. "On that day, I was at the Sterling Center. I can prove it." The prosecutor smiles coolly. "We'll see." The interrogation lasts 2 hours. Natalie answers every question, but she feels the prosecutor has already made a decision. She is guilty. It is easier that way, more convenient. When they return her to the cell, one of her cellmates, a young girl maybe 20, asks, "Are you really a doctor?" Natalie nods. "I was." The girl looks at her hands. "My mom died in a hospital. The doctors said they couldn't do anything. But I think they didn't try. Because we were poor. Natalie feels something break in her chest. She walks over to the girl and sits beside her. What was her name? Anna. Anna Kowalski. They talk for a long time. Natalie listens about the girl's life, her mother, poverty, the injustice of the system, and for the first time since the arrest, she stops thinking about herself. She returns to who she really is, a doctor who cares about people. That same afternoon, Adam and Thomas drive to the family of the deceased patient. They live in a small house in Queens. The widow, a woman of about 50 with a tired face, lets them in. Her adult son sits at the table. "Thank you for agreeing to speak with us," Adam says. The widow nods. "Dr. Sterling, my husband. Thomas. He shouldn't have died. It was a simple surgery, a bypass. Gregory West assured us it was routine. And then, her voice breaks. They told us there was a mistake, that someone sabotaged the equipment." The son adds, "But it doesn't add up. I saw the documents. The surgery lasted only 40 minutes. That's too short for a bypass. And when we asked why so short, they said it was complications." Adam exchanges a glance with Thomas. Something is wrong here. "May I see those documents?" he asks. The widow hands him a thin folder. Adam scans it quickly. His eyes widen. This isn't complete documentation? Missing monitoring records? Nurse's notes." The son nods. "Exactly. We asked for full records, but West Clinic refused. They said part was destroyed during the investigation." Thomas writes frantically, "Will you agree to an exhumation? So we can conduct an independent autopsy?" The widow looks at her son. They both nod. "If it helps find the truth." Yes. Adam feels adrenaline boiling in his veins. Gregory made a mistake. Trying to destroy Natalie, he exposed himself. The next day, Detective Paul comes to Adam with a discovery. He found something. "Mr. Sterling, I checked the finances of West's witnesses. The nurse who claims she saw Ms. Collins. 3 days before her testimony, she received a transfer of $10,000 from the account of a consulting firm owned by..." He checks his notes. "Gregory West's brother-in-law." Adam smiles. The first time in days. "That's not all," Paul continues. "The technician who spoke about equipment manipulation. He has debts. $30,000 to a loan shark. The debts were paid off the day after his testimony." Thomas stands up. "That's enough to challenge the witness's credibility. I'll file a motion to lift Natalie's detention and simultaneously file a notification about witness bribery." But Adam shakes his head. "No, not enough. Gregory will hire new lawyers, find new witnesses. We must destroy him completely, once and for all." He looks at the team. "I want to know everything about that patient's death. I want the exhumation. I want an independent expert opinion. And I want to find every person Gregory ever bribed." For the next week, the investigative machine works at full speed. The exhumation is approved. Professor Nash personally conducts the autopsy, and what he finds is devastating. The professor comes to Adam with the report. His face is pale. "Adam, this patient didn't die from sabotage. He died because the surgery was performed incorrectly. The bypass was attached in the wrong place. It is a basic error that even an intern shouldn't make." He pauses. "Gregory West killed this man through negligence, and then accused sabotage to hide his incompetence." Adam feels anger flow through him like electricity. "We got him." In the cell, Natalie loses track of days. Maybe a week passed, 2 weeks. Time ceases to exist. Every day the same. Interrogations with no end in sight. The prosecutor asks the same questions. Natalie gives the same answers. No one believes her. She stops eating. What is the point, since her life is over anyway? She lies on the bunk, staring at the ceiling, trying to remember Adam's face. But memory begins to fade. Maybe it was just a dream. Maybe there never was a Sterling Center, an apartment, warm meals, kisses. One day, a guard comes to the cell. "Collins, you have a visitor." Natalie stands up shakily. She hasn't had a visitor since the arrest. Adam tried to come, but the prosecutor forbade it. Conflict of interest. They lead her to the visitation room. On the other side of the glass wall sits Madeleine, Nurse Madeleine Baker. She looks better than last time. Clean, sober, but her eyes are full of pain. Natalie sits down, picks up the phone receiver. "Nurse Baker." Madeleine is crying before she starts speaking. "Natalie, I came to say I'm sorry for everything. I hurt you twice. Once when I lied, and now when I can't save you." "What are you talking about?" "I testified before the prosecutor. I told them the truth about what Gregory did 7 years ago. But they won't listen. They say I'm unreliable, that I'm an alcoholic, that I might be lying for money." Madeleine hits the glass with her hand. "But it's the truth. Everything I said is true. Gregory is a monster." Natalie feels tears welling up in her eyes, but not from despair, from something else, from compassion. "Thank you," she says quietly. "Thank you for trying." "Don't thank me," Madeleine sobs. "I destroyed your life. Twice." "No," says Natalie. "Gregory destroyed my life. You were just his tool. But now you are trying to fix it. And that counts." They talk for another 10 minutes before the guards end the visit. When Natalie returns to the cell, she feels different. She is still terrified, still doesn't know if she will be free, but she feels something small, fragile, beginning to sprout in her chest. Not hope, not yet, but something that could be. 2 weeks after Natalie's arrest, a court hearing takes place, a preliminary hearing to decide if she remains in custody or is released on bail. The courtroom is packed. The media has arrived in full force. Cameras, reporters, a crowd of onlookers. Natalie is brought in handcuffs. She looks like a ghost, gaunt, pale, in prison clothes. She scans the crowd and sees Adam sitting in the front row. Their eyes meet. He smiles, gently, full of love. And that is enough. She straightens her back. The judge, an older woman with a stern face, begins, "The case of Natalie Collins, accused of sabotaging medical equipment, resulting in death. Prosecutor, please present the evidence." The prosecutor stands, presents the same evidence, the photo, the nurse's testimony, the technician's testimony. Sounds convincing. Natalie feels hope dying. But then Thomas stands up, Adam's lawyer, and what he does is magnificent. "Your Honor, I would like to present evidence that undermines the prosecution's credibility." He places documents on the table. First, the nurse testifying, "Against my client received $10,000 3 days before her testimony. Here is the bank statement." The prosecutor jumps up. "These are insinuations. These are facts," Thomas says calmly. Second, the technician who claims to have seen manipulation of the equipment had debts totaling $30,000. These debts were paid off the day after his testimony. Another document. Third, we conducted an independent autopsy of the patient. It turned out he died not due to sabotage, but due to medical error during surgery. The bypass was attached incorrectly. The room erupts in whispers. The judge bangs the gavel. "Order! Please continue, Counselor." Thomas looks straight at the judge. "Your Honor, my client could not have sabotaged the equipment at Dr. West's clinic because she was never there. We have surveillance footage from the Sterling Center showing that on the day of the alleged sabotage, Natalie Collins was at Dr. Adam Sterling's clinic all day." Hakim places a drive with the recording on the table. The prosecutor pales. That requires verification." "Please do," says Thomas. "We can play the recording now, or Your Honor can summon every employee of the Sterling Center." Everyone will confirm that Natalie Collins was there. The judge looks at the prosecution. Prosecutor, do you have anything in your defense? The prosecutor is silent. She knows she has lost. The judge sighs. In light of the evidence presented, I hereby revoke the arrest warrant for Natalie Collins. The accused is released immediately. She bangs the gavel. The case is referred for further investigation, with a recommendation to examine Dr. Gregory West's role in filing false charges. Natalie cannot breathe. Free. She is free. The handcuffs are removed. Adam pushes through the crowd and runs to her. He embraces her, not caring about the media, the cameras, everyone around. He holds her tight, as if never intending to let go. You're coming home. He whispers into her hair. You're coming back to me. But Gregory does not intend to give up. As soon as news of Natalie's release reaches the media, he issues another statement. This is a judicial scandal. The accused was released thanks to Adam Sterling's influence and money, not through justice. I will fight for her rearrest. He hires new lawyers, seeks new witnesses, tries to manipulate the media, but this time, something changes. Journalists start asking questions. They start digging. And what they find is devastating. One investigative reporter, a young, ambitious journalist named Jacob, publishes an article in a major newspaper. Dr. West, under the microscope, is the famous surgeon hiding dark secrets. The article describes Natalie's story, describes the death of the first patient 7 years ago, describes the new death, and begins connecting the dots. It quotes Madeline's testimony, quotes Professor Nash's expertise, quotes evidence of witness tampering. Public opinion begins to turn. Internet forums explode. People start believing Natalie. They start seeing Gregory for what he is, a narcissist, a liar, a murderer. And then comes another discovery. Adam's detectives find 2 more of Gregory's patients who died in suspicious circumstances over the last 5 years. In both cases, Gregory blamed complications or equipment problems. But when experts analyze the records, they see a pattern. Medical errors masked as accidents. Thomas files another notification with the district attorney, this time against Gregory, for murder, falsifying documents, witness tampering, and medical malpractice. 3 months pass. Natalie returns to life at the Sterling Center, but this time not as a fugitive, as a woman who fights. Every day she goes to therapy sessions. Adam hires the best psychologist in New York to help her process the trauma. Every day she learns to believe in herself anew, and every day she falls in love with Adam a little more. They spend evenings together, first in his office, talking about medicine, about life, about dreams. Then in her apartment, where Adam holds her in his arms and promises he will never let her be hurt. One night, as they lie together in the dark, Natalie says quietly, I was afraid I would never be myself again. That Gregory destroyed me forever. Adam kisses her forehead. He doesn't have that power. You are stronger than you think. Thanks to you? No, he says. Thanks to yourself. I only reminded you who you are. They kiss, long, deep, and in the darkness, Natalie feels something she hasn't felt in years. She is loved. Finally, the day of the trial arrives. Not Natalie's, Gregory's. The Attorney General personally leads the case. The charges are heavy. First-degree murder, 7 years ago. Attempted framing of an innocent person. Falsifying medical records. Witness tampering. Medical malpractice resulting in death. The new case. Filing false charges. The courtroom is overflowing. Media from all over the country have arrived to cover the trial of the year. Gregory sits in the dock, surrounded by an army of lawyers. But this time, he doesn't look confident. He looks terrified. Natalie sits in the public gallery, next to Adam. She holds his hand so tight her fingers hurt. The trial lasts a week. Witnesses are questioned, one by one. Madeleine Baker testifies first. She tells the whole truth about what she saw 7 years ago, how Gregory administered the lethal drug himself, how he threatened her son, how he paid her for the lie. She cries the whole time, but her voice is strong. The defense tries to undermine her credibility, but Madeleine does not yield. Professor Nash presents medical expertise, both from the old case and the new one. He explains to the court how Gregory manipulated documentation, how he killed 2 people through incompetence and arrogance. His testimony is so technical, so precise, there is no room for doubt. Detective Paul presents financial evidence, transfers Gregory made to witnesses, debts he paid off, every trace of his corruption. The widow of the new patient tells about her husband, about how Gregory assured them the surgery was safe, about how he later lied, blaming sabotage. She cries, and the whole room is silent. And finally, Natalie, the prosecutor, calls her. She takes the stand. For the first time in 7 years, she stands before a court, not as the accused, but as a victim. The prosecutor asks, "Miss Collins, please, tell the court what you went through over the last 7 years." Natalie takes a deep breath and begins to speak. She tells of the accusation, the trial, losing her license, the psychiatric ward, about 7 years in hell, hunger, cold, shelters, work no one wants to do, about how every day she wanted to die. She speaks for an hour. Her voice trembles, but she doesn't cry. She looks straight at Gregory and sees him avoiding her gaze. When she finishes, the prosecutor asks, "Do you believe Gregory West deliberately destroyed your life?" "Yes," says Natalie. "I know it. He killed a man and blamed me because he hated that I was better. And now he tried to do the same thing again." The defense tries to cross-examine her. They ask aggressive questions, suggest she is lying, seeking revenge, unstable. But Natalie does not yield. She is calm, composed. She answers every question. Finally, after a week, comes the time for the verdict. The court retires for deliberation. They wait 4 hours. Natalie sits in the room, holding Adam's hand. They don't speak, just wait. When the court returns, the judge, the same one who freed Natalie, reads the verdict. In the case of defendant Gregory West, after analyzing all evidence, the court finds the defendant guilty of all charges. She pauses. For the murder of Martin Kowalski, through deliberate administration of a lethal drug, we sentence the defendant to 18 years in prison. For falsifying medical records, 5 years. For witness tampering, 3 years. For filing false charges against Natalie Collins, 2 years. Total sentence, 24 years in prison. Another pause. Furthermore, the defendant loses the right to practice medicine indefinitely. All assets of the defendant are seized as compensation for the victims, including the clinic taken from Natalie Collins, which returns to her as the rightful owner. The room erupts. Gregory jumps up. "It's a lie. It's a conspiracy. Sterling framed me." But no. One listens. Guards lead him away in handcuffs. He screams, struggles, but nothing helps. As they lead him out of the room, Natalie stands. Their eyes meet. Gregory looks at her with hatred so pure it could kill. But Natalie is not afraid. She looks at him calmly and says one sentence, quietly. But everyone in the room hears it. Justice has prevailed. Gregory disappears behind the doors. For Natalie, the nightmare is over. But for him, hell is beginning. 3 days after the verdict, the CRI medical board convenes a special meeting. Natalie is summoned. She sits before the board, the same people who took her license 7 years ago. The chairman, an elderly professor, says, "Miss Collins, in light of new evidence and the court verdict, The medical board has decided to annul the ruling of 2018. Your medical license is restored with full force. Furthermore, we offer a formal apology for the harm done to you. Natalie cannot breathe. License. Her license. She can be a doctor again. The professor continues. We realize no apology can repair 7 years of your life, but we hope this is the first step toward true justice. Natalie stands up. Her legs tremble, but she stands tall. Thank you, she says. And nothing more, because there are no words for what she feels. A week later, Natalie stands in front of her father's clinic. The building Gregory stole from her now belongs to her again. It is neglected. Gregory ran the clinic poorly, focused only on profit. But the foundations are good? Adam stands beside her. What do you intend to do? He asks. Natalie looks at the clinic, then at him. I will renovate it. I will make it what my father wanted it to be. A place where lives are saved. Not for money, for people. Adam smiles. I will help you? No, she says. You will do something better. You will become my partner. We will merge our clinics. The Sterling Center and the Collins Clinic. Together. Adam looks at her. In his eyes shines something that looks like tears. Together, he repeats. Always. They kiss in front of the old clinic, and the sun shines over them like a promise of a new life. Epilogue. 1 year later, the operating room at the Collins Clinic gleams with cleanliness. The equipment is brand new, purchased with the combined funds of Adam and Natalie. The medical team is the best in the country. Young, talented doctors who believe in the mission of saving lives. And at the operating table stands Natalie Collins. For the first time in 8 years, she holds a scalpel in her hands. She is performing a heart valve surgery, the same one that destroyed her life. The patient is a 70-year-old woman from a poor family who cannot afford private care. Natalie operates on her for free. Her hands do not tremble. They are steady, precise, brilliant. It is still there. The surgeon, the best. The surgery lasts 5 hours. When she finishes, the patient is alive, stable, saved. Natalie leaves the operating room, removes her mask. Adam waits in the corridor. When he sees her face, tired but happy, he smiles. How do you feel? Like I'm home, she answers. He takes her hand and leads her to the clinic terrace. They look at New York stretching below them, the city that witnessed her fall and resurrection. Natalie, Adam says quietly, I have a question for you. She turns, sees he is holding a small box, opens it. Inside shines a ring. Will you marry me? Natalie feels tears welling up in her eyes, but this time they are tears of joy. Yes, she whispers. 1,000 times yes. They kiss on the terrace, and the setting sun illuminates them like a painting. Two broken souls who found healing in each other. Two lives connected by tragedy, but redeemed by love. In a prison, hundreds of miles away, Gregory West sits in a cell. He reads a newspaper describing Natalie's triumph, her return to medicine, her engagement to Adam. His face twists in a grimace of hatred, but it no longer matters. His power is gone. His lies exposed. He will spend the rest of his life behind bars, knowing the woman he tried to destroy not only survived, she won. And Natalie? Natalie lives. She loves. She saves lives. She is free. Justice prevailed. Love prevailed. And finally, after 8 years of hell, Natalie Collins is home.